Hi, thank you for joining me. My name is Mindy Mandell. As you can see, this video is a little different than ones that I have done in the past. Today, I'm going to be talking about meditation. Now, this video is probably long overdue. Meditation is actually something I strongly recommend bringing into your practice. It may not seem on the surface like there's any connection between philosophy and meditation, but there actually is quite a bit, and our metaphysics really supports this, the idea that unity and power are commensurate. We want to strengthen our energy, and that means that we have to unify it. We have to purify what is false, and we also have to bring insights that will raise our energy and bring our energy and even more unified in a tighter way. And so meditation is a way to spur that along. We need a theurgic aspect. Now, of course, the way that we do readings and the way that I certainly encourage reading, it is theurgic, and I do have videos on that as well. I'll link one at the end. But in addition to our reading, then we'll find that practices such as meditation, yoga, tai chi, anything that's like an energy focused practice, it can really give us a boost. So I'm going to be talking about meditation here. Now, I'm going to be drawing from a book that I wrote a few years back called Discovering the Beauty of Wisdom. For those of you who have the book, you'll find that this complements what you see in chapter 18 here. For those of you who don't have the book, well, that's your loss, but you don't need the book in order to follow this video. If you are interested in the book, there are links in the description box. But again, you don't need the book in order to follow this video. So the first thing I want to look at here, I got some notes here, excuse me. I want to look at a few preliminary considerations. One of them is your posture. Now, we don't really care so much about posture the way that you might see in Buddhist practice or Hindu practice and other systems. We don't care so much. In fact, the meditations I'm going to talk about today, I've done these meditations while taking a walk, while running errands, while washing dishes, doing housework. So you can, anytime that you're alone and you really just want to focus your mind, these techniques are very, very helpful. In fact, if you're the kind of person who has kind of a monkey mind or your mind's always racing, this is a very good way to bring it under control, to turn off the critical voices, to turn off the daydreams, all of that kind of thing. And as our practice develops, as our state of mind ripens, we really find it is much more important to rein in that monkey mind. So these are techniques that you can use all the time, not just in like a formal sitting practice. That said, if you do want to sit and practice, and I do recommend taking some time every day to do so, any comfortable posture is fine. As you can see, I'm sitting cross-legged. Generally, it's recommended to try to keep your knees as low as possible so that you have like a strong base. So if you're sitting like normal cross-legged, your knees are kind of sticking up. That's why in Buddhism they do like the lotus pose where their feet go on top, but that's very hard for most of us. So I think if you just put one foot in front of the other, I don't know if you can see that. Let me move my microphone here, but you can see one foot is in front of the other leg, and that allows the knees to be flat. You can also sit like a seiza style, which is like you're sitting on your on your heels. If sitting on the heel directly, if the foot straight is painful, I find it painful, so I tend to let the heels spread apart and then just sit in between them. And so that's also a very comfortable pose. The idea, though, is that you want your spine to be straight. You can sit in a chair, and again, walking, taking a walk, or standing, even laying down. I've had really good meditations laying down. So the sitting posture is really not that important. So if you're not a flexible person or if you have some physical limitation, that does not mean you cannot meditate. Do not worry about that at all. As far as like your hand positions, I tend to sit like the Buddhist style is like this, with the right hand on the bottom, left hand on top, and the thumbs can gently touch and you just kind of put in your lap. Also, for those of you who've learned yoga, maybe you've learned Gyan Mudra, which is where the pointer finger and the thumbs touch, and then you just gently sit like this. But if you don't like doing this, just keep your hands open, palms up, palms down. It really doesn't matter. If you're laying down, of course, your hands would be next to you. So just whatever is comfortable for you. I think the most important thing is to be comfortable, not so comfortable that you fall asleep, of course, but to find that balance where you can keep alert, but you're still comfortable. You don't want to be like so rigid that that becomes a distraction. So be comfortable, but keep the spine straight. I think that's the important thing, is to keep the spine straight. Maybe more important is to think about the time. And I do recommend making a schedule, because part of what we're doing, especially early on in our meditations, is we are kind of preparing ourselves for those later stages. And that means that we want to discipline ourselves. And one of the ways we're going to discipline ourselves is through meditation and through our schedule. If you make yourself a schedule, whether it's a daily schedule or a weekly schedule or every 2 days or whatever it is, you want to keep your schedule. Make it a promise to yourself, because when you start to bargain and you say, I'll do twice as much next time, no, you won't. It doesn't work. You may do it once or twice, but you're going to eventually get lazy with it, because you're teaching yourself that you don't have to do it. And you don't want to teach yourself that. So I do recommend that you make yourself a schedule and you keep it. And that means that you need a schedule that's realistic to you. So if you're new to meditation, closer to the microphone. If you are new to meditation, then you want to start with maybe just 5 minutes. And that's enough. If you're doing 5 minutes every morning, that's huge. That will be hugely beneficial to you. When we try to take on too much, when we get really inspired and think, I'm going to do half hour every day, or I'm going to do even 15 minutes every day, I can do this. If you're new to meditation, you're going to find you may be excited the first few days, but then you're going to hit some blocks, and that's very natural, and it's actually very healthy that you're going to hit blocks. Things are going to come up. It's part of the purification process. And so there will be days that are really, really tough, and those are the days when you want to quit. And so you want to get yourself disciplined, to get some foundation going first before you take on more. Because people who take on too much, and we've all done this, I can tell you from my own experience, that when you take on too much early on, it backfires. You're excited for the first week or so, and then it dies out. But if you just make it small increments, it may seem like you're not doing much, but you're doing a lot. It's huge. So just 5 minutes a day is enough, and then maybe gradually building up to 10 minutes. Maybe you start with like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. You can just build it up 1 minute at a time. Get yourself up to 10 minutes for a while. Eventually you'll get up to 20 and even longer. Maybe you'll even do multiple sittings, or sitting multiple times in a day. So that's what I recommend about time. Also, if you do want to do longer extended meditations, you may find that it's helpful to stand up and walk around after every 20 minutes or so. For those of you who want to do like an hour or longer, it's very hard to keep that focus, to keep that concentration. But what you'll find, sitting in the same spot, but what you'll find is that if you stand up and walk around while staying in the meditative state, you can continue your meditation for that extended period. And so maybe after 20 minutes, walk around a little bit, sit down again, always staying in the meditative state of mind. Okay, but that's for people who are at a more advanced stage, if you've been doing this a while and you're ready to have that longer meditation. But for those of you just starting out, again, 5 minutes is huge. Okay, that said, here are a few meditations that I think are very good for Platonists. The first one is just kind of training yourself to quiet the mind. And this one is counting the breaths. It's a classic one, and probably all of you have heard of this before, but just to run through it for those of you who maybe don't know quite the exact technique here, what you want to do is you close your eyes. You tend to focus downward usually. Some people like to focus up. You can focus to the third eye if that's comfortable for you. Often just like a downward gaze, either keeping your eyes slightly open, or I like to close them just gently. Don't want to make it tight because you'll feel it here, and you want to try to let go of the tension in your face. So you don't want tension there, but just gently close your eyes and maybe just point the eyes down. You'll find that this helps you quiet the mind. And I tend to focus just below the belly button. Some people like to focus at the solar plexus, the heart, the third eye, even the crown. So you can experiment, see what works for you. I find though that just below the belly button and focusing the eyes downward is a way to quiet the mind very quickly. And again, I tend to hold my hands like so, and but you can do a different hand motion, whatever you enjoy. And then what you want to do here is take full, slow breaths. Feel the abdomen filling with air. Feel the chest filling with air after that. And that's one. And then you exhale from the chest, first lowering, letting the air go from the chest and then the abdomen, and that's one. And then you breathe again, two. Inhale, two, exhale, two. And you count to 10 and then you start over. The reason you want to start over is because otherwise you'll find that if you just let yourself count to infinity, your mind is going to wander. So counting to 10 and starting over keeps you attentive to what you're doing. And so early on, what we're really doing is just training ourselves to have this discipline, to focus on our thoughts, to center ourselves. We have a society where everything is so fast, boom, 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 boom. We're watching videos, and if it's not interesting after 3 seconds, we change it. And, there's just so much going on that it's very hard to just quiet ourselves and focus. It has a huge effect on the soul. It is so incredibly beneficial in all areas of our practice. I think that you will find that if you add this kind of practice to your contemplations, to your reading, to the more classical notions of philosophy, you'll find this really boosts your insight, your understanding, your comprehension of what you're studying and contemplating. And so they really complement each other well. Okay, so that's the first one. Once you've gotten that one, you may want to try to turn the thoughts off even more. And so you can just count on the exhalation. So complete silence for the inhalation, and then exhale, 1. Silence for the inhalation, exhale, 2. And again, count to 10 and then start over. So this is again a way to quiet the mind. Now you may find, you probably will find, in fact, I will even go further and say I guarantee that you will find if you do this sincerely, thoughts are going to pop up. The critical voice is going to pop up. Memories from the past are going to pop up. Memories from childhood or sometimes maybe just yesterday. These things are all going to pop up. Problems that you're having, difficulties you're having with other people are going to pop up. And this is good. It's part of the purification process. I will talk a little bit more about that at the end. But these things are going to pop up. And what you want to do while you're meditating is just ignore it for now. Acknowledge that it's there, but keep focused on your breath. You're only doing it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever your time you chose. So just keep focused for that time. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about keeping a journal and so what you can do with these thoughts and how to use them. But there's one other meditation I do want to talk about here that I think is especially good for philosophers. And this is one that my teacher, Dr. Pierre Grimes, introduced to me. And he calls it watching numbers. And so this one it builds on the idea of the counting your breath. But now what you want to do is really visualize the numbers, see them in your mind's eye. Maybe you see them as very thin. Maybe you see them as puffy. Maybe they're furry. Maybe they've got polka dots. I don't know. Whatever they look like to you is fine. But see the number and ask yourself, as you're seeing the number 1, where did that come from? Is it just a concept or is there really a 1? And then as you're exhaling and you're saying 1 again, you're watching it go. Where does it go? As 2 is coming in, what happened to 1 when 2 came in? See, logically, this doesn't really make sense because we just think of numbers as concepts. But we are taking it to another level. It's a kind of koan of sorts. In Buddhism, they have the practice of koans, like what is mu, or what is the sound of one hand clapping, or Show me your parents' face before you were born. These questions don't make sense on the surface, and so you cannot answer them logically. And the point is not to answer them logically, it's to really penetrate them and become one with them and let the energy transform you. And so that's what we're doing here. And so there are a lot of metaphysical concepts involved with this notion of counting the numbers. And initially, you're going to run through a lot of them. If you stay with it, eventually you're going to run out of those and you're going to feel your energy changing and you're going to find yourself really unifying with the numbers. It's really powerful, powerful meditation. This one will trigger memories and false beliefs and negative self-images and that sort of thing in a way that no other meditation I've ever done will trigger. One other one I want to talk about in this video, bringing it back to philosophy, because I do want to focus there, is the idea of using a kind of a meditative posture, kind of combining formal sitting meditation with our contemplations, penetrating a question. So you may take a question like in Book 7 of the Republic, the way he introduces arithmetic and geometry, they actually have a metaphysical purpose behind them. So taking that kind of question, or just any question that you're working on, what is the one anyway? What is participation? What does it mean to participate in beauty? What exactly is going on in participation? So we have these kind of questions. We have all kinds of questions, whatever you happen to be reading at the moment, Plato or Proclus or Iamblichus, whatever you're reading, you have questions about what you're reading. What is going on here? You can combine that kind of contemplation with this formal breathing technique, and that will really trigger even more. So get into that state of mind, that quiet state. When you're counting the breaths, it really brings you into a quiet place. And there, once you get, after a few breaths, after maybe you've counted to 10 once or twice, run through, taken a few long, deep breaths, you want to then turn to your question and just sit with it, and maybe keeping that focus at the tendon, at the point just below the belly button, and really try to penetrate. Take the questions into you. Become one. Integrate yourself with the question and really hold it and really, really ponder it. And this is a very, very powerful way, again, to meditate. Okay, and again, this kind of meditation really springs up a lot of our garbage that needs to be purified from us. And a lot of our doubts and our insecurities and all these memories come up. And so now I want to jump to the idea of keeping a journal, because so much is coming up. We're not doing this just for the sake of discipline, just for the sake of sitting here. It's not an end in itself. Well, it is actually an end in itself, but it also is a means to an end, because we have a lot that we want to do, right? And this is one of the techniques that we're using. We want to bring that unity to the soul. We want to really raise our energy so that we can participate in those higher realms. We want to participate in nous, and we can then penetrate more deeply into these metaphysical questions. So it all ties together. There is a strong metaphysics behind this. I can't stress that enough. There is metaphysics behind this. And so as we're going through this purification process, a lot is going to come up. We're going to have insights also. In addition to all the garbage, we're also going to have insights. We're going to solve our personal problems, that difficulty you're having with that really annoying person at work or at school. Maybe you've been running it through your daydreams over and over. By the way, I know I do that all the time, but it doesn't work. You have to jump outside of it. You have to raise your energy to jump outside of your own current state of mind in order to solve the problem. We need to see that our current state of mind is part of the problem, whatever difficulties we're having with other people. No matter how annoying they are, our own state of mind plays a role in it. And so as we raise our energy, we're going to start having insights of like, now I see. I missed this before. I was looking at it from a different perspective. Now I have a new perspective. My energy is raised. I have a new perspective. Now I see the way out. So sometimes you're going to have those kind of insights. And of course, you'll have insights into your metaphysical questions. And so in all areas of life, you want to write those down. Again, it's a good idea to try to hold on to your meditation state of mind as long as for the time period that you promised yourself. But then you want to, as soon as you're done, write the stuff down. Keep a notebook right next to you so you don't forget. I can't tell you how many times I have had an insight. I jumped up, I ran downstairs or to another room to get some paper. And by the time I got there, my state of mind shifted and I completely forgot what my insight was. And so it's really a good idea to keep a notebook right next to you as you're meditating. These days, I will never meditate without a notebook right next to me. I keep one with me all the time. So you want to write these insights down. Also, the memories that come up, you want to write them down, and you may find it may seem like just random thoughts that your mind is jumping to, but actually there is a pattern. There's a reason that this thought is popping up at this moment. There's always a logic to it, and you want to be able to see what that is. Now, I do have a playlist on a practice called philosophical midwifery, which is a method that I have learned as a way to deal with these memories and how to clear them away and how to clear away the false beliefs that we picked up in childhood. So this is where those kinds of techniques really come in handy. So if you haven't watched those videos, I do recommend checking them out. Or once you start meditating and these memories pop up, you may see that a video you watched before didn't really seem like it applied to you. It didn't seem significant. Maybe now it does. So you can check out that playlist. So yeah, please give these techniques a try. Even if you've never meditated before, today's a great day to start, and you're going to find that it really is something beneficial to Platonists that does have a place in a philosophical life. So please give it a try. Let me know in the comments how it's going for you, what your difficulties are, what insights you're having, what's going well, what's not going so well. Let's have a discussion about it. And thank you very much. And as always, I thank you for watching. Until next time.